to another thrilling episode of the Inalienable Right Guys. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, with certain inalienable rights that are endowed by
the thing.
We dub this Texit.
I saw miles and miles of Texas. All the stars up in the sky. I saw miles and miles of Texas. Gonna live here till I die.
Now that's a true Texan. That's a true Texan. Now, well, you heard of Brexit and the breaking away. We call this one Texit because of the look like the way our U.S. government want to steer us in, and we are just not having it here in Texas. It's mighty reckless to mess with Texas. And Mark is a little more astute on this subject matter than I do. I just chime in and learn some things.
So, I know this is kind of a subject that some people have a hard time with. Here we are, the Inalienable Right Guys, and what are we talking about? We're talking about America and what it means to be American and all that. But in the past several years, there has been, there's been kind of a push, and not only, here in Texas, but California. I know there was a lot of talk, by the, progressives in California about, California seceding from, America. There's been a couple other places that have talked about it, but it's been a thing going on, and so back in about 2014, 2015, somewhere in there, there's a group of people that were trying to not necessarily, obvious goal there, is having Texas become its own country again. But at the time, it wasn't necessarily straight out to vote, we want to leave. It was just the idea to get a bill in Congress to talk about these things, talk about if the people of Texas would want to secede. And so I kind of got involved in that a little bit, just because I wanted to see. I kind of wanted to see if people would actually vote for it. But I know that recently, even Lieutenant Colonel Allen West, I think he kind of walked it back, but I think we mentioned this in one of our other videos, but he kind of walked it back a little bit. But he talked about, the possibility of, Texas, seceding and become its own country again. And I've heard that, if they did, if they really took that step to do that, there's probably several of the ones around us, states around us, what the East Coast and West Coast like to call flyover states, would probably follow suit. Now, whether they would all join together as one or, have it all their own, I don't know. But we do know that there's a couple of bills going on right now in the legislature of Texas. Or, well, one is a bill, the other one is waiting to be given a number to be a bill. But it's talking about that, and I think heard recently that I guess that's the Speaker of the House in Texas said that if it come up before the House, that they would look into it or talk about it or discuss it, debate it. So kind of interesting. I don't know.
I just feel like it's a long shot for the simple fact that they done infiltrated Austin, Texas, the capital, as far as liberalism goes, and the things that we as a state don't want to partake of, and the laws are changing our laws, and I just feel that it's a bunch of us out there that that just don't want to just roll over to what we feel that's coming down the pike. And this Texit was presented to me early on. That's why I'm new to to it. But I've been told that we have some things here that's already put in place, like our own mint and our National Guard, our practically our own little army, and things that we wouldn't have to build from scratch. I mean,
Right.
we have our own power grid. So we have a lot of things that, I mean, so it's feasible, but
Yeah.
it's going to take a great movement. And right now, this is in the early stage, and that's why, Mark has a lot more information on this.
Yeah, it's just something that I got involved in. A couple of people asked me to get involved the last time, and so, collecting signatures and that kind of stuff. And I think they actually got enough signatures to have it put, on a ballot down in Austin. But this, and like I said, this was like 2015, I think, something like that. And but it was denied by, I think, whoever was Republican Party chair then, or the Speaker of the House then. Probably Strauss, I think it was. They denied it. And like I said, it's something, that I know is probably on a lot of people's mind. And not just here in Texas. I'm sure there's other states that, kind of, feel the same way, that if, things are going kind of the way not the way they want them to go, that they may want to do the same thing. I don't know, but it's an interesting thing.
Definitely interesting because I'm jokingly, I'll be like, man, they just freed the slaves. Now they want to free Texas. I'm just now growing into my own freedom and liberty. But the way the government is going and the direction it's going, it's like spiraling out of control.
Yes.
And so, I'm amongst some God-fearing brethren and some, thank God, some patriots and guys that love their liberties and freedoms, that entertaining this possibility of Texit. And we just, pulling off Brexit. But it's serious, Texas succeeding from the Union and becoming their own little country. And then, so it's so many components go into this, like,
it would.
Would we have to get passports to go to other states, to another country, actually, outside of our country, which would be called Texas. So
it raises a lot of questions. You're right.
So many questions.
It does. It raises a lot of questions, and I don't know the answers. I've heard a few things here and there, but I don't know the answers, to a lot of that. But yeah, I mean, the thing is there's a lot of people that see, what our current, U.S. federal government is doing, and how corrupt it is, and how bloated it is, and I think I mentioned this in the last video, that I read somewhere, where our founding fathers, I think they kind of understood that when America got to be so big and it got to have so many people, that it was going to be hard to govern all of that. And I know a lot of that, really our federal government, it's kind of like what I was talking about in the last video, that our federal government really has grown out of its bounds. That it's supposed to have certain, limits. And it seems like all the bureaucracy, all these federal agencies that have been, created over the last 100 years and have added so much, bureaucratic bloat to our government, and so many things that should be states' rights, so many issues, whether it's, marijuana, whether it's gay marriage. I mean, so many of these things should have been, states' rights issues, and some of this has been taken over by our federal government that shouldn't have been. And so, really the states should have a lot more authority over a lot of things that go on, and I think that's where some of these issues come in, that the corruption going on in our federal government, and again, on both sides, doesn't matter which side of the aisle you're on, uh, it's causing so many problems that, there's people out there that are looking, to say, okay,
that's why I say
get away from that. And Texas, like I said, like he said, we have a lot of infrastructure, a lot of things in place where, I can't remember now. It's been a while since I looked at the information, but I know that, our economy in Texas, and if you look at all these companies now that have moved here and everything, our economy in Texas has been steadily been growing. Mm-hmm. And I forget, if we became our own country, where we would be. I know it's top 20. I can't remember if it's top 10 or not, but we would our what
you talking about globally?
Yeah, globally, our economy just
GDP.
from Texas, would be. I know in the top 20. I can't remember, maybe even top 10. It's up there.
Yeah, so yes, we got the things that probably sustain us. It could be sustainable. I guess my issue with it is communication with the populace, and that trying to convey or relate to enough people the importance of that being a country unto ourselves. And I wouldn't have no problem with that, being honest.
Well,
I'm a Texan I'm but Texas the next Texan. I mean, I no other place from here.
I wasn't born here, but I got here as fast as I could, as they say, right?
Exactly.
But yeah, so that's something that it's being talked about, and like I said, we know there's a couple of bills coming up in the Texas legislature. So as things develop, we'll have to do some more videos and just kind of see where it goes and see what people think about it. So
see, and that's what I love about the Inalienable Right guys, and I love about being around informed people is that we are not defeatists. We no matter how much they try to corner us or lock us in or shut us down, we're always looking for that liberty and that freedom that God gave us, and that makes us great, and we're gonna fight for that until the Lord say otherwise. So this is one of the reasons that Texas is starting to sound good to us. It's starting to sound good to some of the ears that hear it, because we believe, like Mark was saying, that bloated government is that's the antithesis of freedom. That is enemy of liberty, and then not to mention they spinning us into oblivion anyway. So something gonna give.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. I mean, the regulations. Like I said, all this bureaucracy, it weighs on us in ways that we don't even realize. And it takes away freedoms that we don't even realize. Right. I mean, it's just, picking at it every day. You get, something that you don't even realize. This stuff gets taken away, and our rights are slowly being chewed away. And that bureaucracy is a big part of it. The bureaucrats all over the country, do more things and have no accountability. That's what's really bad, is they don't have any accountability. Nobody's overseeing them, what they do, and they kind of they're a government in of themselves. Mm-hmm. And so if we can, if that's what happens, if that's what we end up doing, is becoming our own country and trying to get away from some of that federal bloat. I don't know. That may be a good thing. It may suck. I don't know, but it's just something that's come up, and we thought we'd talk about it a little bit, and whatever if we like I say, if we hear some more more stuff comes out of like I said, we hear more about these bills that are going on, we'll have to bring it up again and see what happens.
Yes, and hopefully, and like you're saying, we have more information on this, because we're at the infant stage of it of this one, our first video on such a matter like this, but it's definitely got my ears perking and thinking about the greatness of Texas. I like the whole country to be like Texas. So they coming in by the droves. The big corporations and fleeing all them state taxes that and paying state and federal taxes that just depletes a man out of any chance of success. So that's another thing that makes Texas great and why so many people are moving this way.
Exactly. And the whole world knows Texas. I've seen so many videos, people from other countries trying to figure out what the states are, where they are. They almost always get Texas right. I seen one the other day. Guy, it was on Facebook. Guy put on, he's like from Denmark or something like that. And he was naming all the states. He got California, Texas, and Florida. That was the 3 that he got right. The rest of them were all messed up. But they almost always get Texas.
Yes, sir.
You can't miss that shade.
It's
That
in the heart of the
shade's everywhere.
union.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone.